Okay, let's just dive right into it. It feels like AI is absolutely everywhere right now. I mean, it's shaping the shows we watch, the news we get, it's all around us. And of course, the money is just pouring in. We're talking billions upon billions from huge corporations, investors are going wild, and stocks like Nvidia, they're soaring to unbelievable heights. It is a full-blown gold rush. But with all this crazy excitement, there's this little voice in the back of your head, right? A feeling of déjà vu. The insane valuations, the frantic investing. It all seems a little too familiar. And that brings us to the big question for this explainer. Are we watching a true technological revolution unfold, or are we just pumping air into the next giant tech bubble? So before we can even try to figure out what's going on with AI, we first need to understand what an economic bubble even is. And to do that, we're going to take a quick look back in history, because believe me, it has a lot to teach us. The whole life cycle of a bubble is actually pretty simple, and it's a story that's played out over and over again. It starts with a little spark of excitement. A few people buy into something new. Then FOMO, the fear of missing out, kicks in. Big time. More and more people jump on board, not because they get the real value, but because they see other people getting rich. Prices get completely detached from reality. They just go vertical until it happens. The music stops, people stop buying, and pop! The bubble bursts. And don't get it twisted, this is not some rare, once-in-a-lifetime thing. We have seen this happen time and time again. Think about Japan's massive economic collapse, which led to a lost decade, or the dot-com flameout in 2000 that just, poof, vaporized fortunes overnight. And of course, the 2008 housing crisis that nearly took down the entire global economy. The pattern is there, and it's always brutal. All right, so with that history lesson in our back pocket, let's put AI under the microscope. What's the actual evidence telling us that this could be a bubble? Well, the argument really starts with its absolutely jaw-droppingly fast growth. And this, right here, is where you can see how massive the AI hype truly is. Just look at ChatGPT. It got to 100 million users in 2 months. 2 months. To give you some perspective, it took TikTok 9 months to do that. It took Instagram 2.5 years. This isn't just fast growth. This is a straight-up cultural phenomenon. But here's where it gets really weird. This is the paradox at the core of the AI boom. While the user numbers are shooting to the moon, the financial statements, well, they're telling a very, very different story. So what's this number, $11.5 billion? That is the estimated loss for OpenAI in a single quarter of 2025. A loss. For all the hype about changing the world, the reality is a massive cash bonfire. So why are they burning through so much cash? Well, running these AI models is kind of like trying to power a small country. You have to train these unbelievably complex systems. You need tons of super expensive GPUs, which are like the brains of the whole operation. You need these huge server farms that just drink electricity. It's so expensive that every single time a user types something simple like "thank you" into ChatGPT, it actually costs OpenAI money. Now, multiply that by billions and billions of interactions, and you can see how you end up losing millions of dollars on what seem like tiny things. And this brings us to one of the most fascinating and honestly one of the most worrying parts of the whole AI boom, a strange phenomenon that some people are calling the circular money glitch. It's this theory that a whole lot of the money we think is fueling this boom is just getting passed around between the same few giant companies. Okay, so here's a super simplified version of how this glitch might work. Step 1. A chip-making giant, let's say Nvidia, invests a huge sum, like $10 billion, into a hot AI company like OpenAI. Step 2. OpenAI then turns around and spends a huge chunk of that money, say $8 billion, on cloud computing services so it can actually run its models. And step 3, and this is the kicker, who do you think provides those cloud services? Companies that need to buy tons and tons of GPUs right back from Nvidia. You see the loop? So on paper, everyone looks like a genius. Nvidia's revenue goes up, OpenAI's valuation goes up, the cloud companies' revenues go up, but you have to ask the really important question. Is this real economic growth from new customers paying for new products? Or is it more like a financial shell game where the same pile of cash just gets moved around to make everyone look way richer than they actually are? The hype, the crazy costs, this weird circular money flow, if all of this is giving you some serious dot-com bubble flashbacks, well, you are definitely not alone. The parallels are just really hard to ignore. Now look, The comparison to the dot-com bubble is really tempting, but it's not a perfect fit. Sure, both were driven by hype around a world-changing new technology, but the dot-com era was just the Wild West. You had companies with basically nothing but a dot-com in their name. No profits, no real business plan, just vibes. Today, the AI boom is being led by these massive, established, cash-rich giants like Microsoft, Google, and Nvidia, companies that are already making real money from AI. That's a huge difference. But, and there's always a but, the fact that some of today's hottest AI startups are still just torching cash at an incredible rate, well, that keeps the ghost of the dot-com bubble alive and well. So let's play this out. What if the people screaming bubble are right? What actually happens to AI and the world if this entire thing comes crashing down? And here we are. This is probably the single most important takeaway from this whole explainer. When a bubble pops, it's the hype and the crazy speculation that go up in smoke. Investment dries up, and companies that don't have a real business model, they go extinct. But the underlying technology? It doesn't just vanish. And if you need any proof of that, just look at what crawled out of the wreckage of the dot-com crash. I mean, it was a total bloodbath, but it didn't kill the internet, did it? Nope. In fact, some of the most powerful companies in the world today emerged from those ashes. Amazon, eBay, Cisco, they all made it through the dot-com apocalypse because they were building real companies with real business models. They didn't just survive, they thrived. And that is almost certainly the future for AI. It is, without a doubt, a revolutionary technology. It's already changing our world. And just like the internet, the really useful, the truly valuable parts of AI are going to be with us long after any market correction. Some of the hype will fade for sure, but the real innovation is here to stay. The companies solving actual problems will be the ones left standing, and they'll probably be even stronger for it. So in the end, maybe the question isn't really, is AI a bubble? But more like, does it even matter if it is? All the financial madness, the speculation, that's kind of a sideshow. The real story, the one that's going to define our future, is the technology itself. The hype comes and goes, but the revolution is already here, and that's the real prize.